Hi everyone, this is Lisa Hellqvist and the Copperberg team wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I would like to thank all of you for your loyal support throughout the year. Everyone in our community and our partner network, thank you for your contribution and thank you for helping us building the service community around Europe and the rest of the world. Of course, as many other organizations, Copperberg has reviewed and renewed our business model and adapted it to the digital world. One thing in particular that we've focused on, and we will keep on focus on when we go into our 10-year anniversary as a company next year, is the original content creation. This is the foundation on which we built this organization, and this is also where we keep on focusing to make sure that we feed highly interested content into the service community. Of course, as it is the end of the year, this is also time for reflection. There are some things that I've actually come to think about when I think back on this year, and a few things I would like to highlight. One is, of course, the technology, an aspect that is always covered in any seminar, webinar, virtual summit, you name it, that we do. One of the things, though, that has become clear in the past 12 to 24 months is that technologies that might have been desirable or essential before the pandemic has now become vital for companies' mere existence. Without them, we couldn't have served our customers remotely, nor could we have had insights into specific inventories or supply chains. The fact that we are now not sitting in the same place anymore, but stuck around satellite offices at home or maybe in smaller groups around the world, this has actually boosted the technology adoption and forced us to implement it in a different way than before. The deployment is higher. We also rely on it more now than we maybe did before. This is a clear trend, and I do think that we will see a continuous growth in investment into technologies that supports your overall business objectives. But it's also now, I think, clearer to people what it can bring to the table. And I also think that we will keep on exploring how we can optimize the use of that said technology in order to be better at our service delivery. The second part I would like to highlight is the business processes. Touching upon this in every interaction I've had, I think, is that the abundance of data that we have access to actually drives a possibility of true corporate performance management into the very tiny details. But that also requires that everyone is looking at the same set of data at the same time. This is something that has also, I think, been refined during this period of time, because the fact that we're not sitting in the same place anymore, we don't have that knowledge sharing experience at the coffee machine or the small Monday meetings, or you name it. We've actually had to have an anchor point in our discussions, and that has come to be dashboards, platforms, even Excel spreadsheets, or you share Google Sheets and everyone is looking at the same information. But I think that has been extremely important for organizations in terms of project management and being able to keep on doing what you're supposed to do in your daily business. The fact is also that data shines a light on where our weaknesses are. When we start putting data into different dashboards and systems, it also becomes very evident where we're lacking a data set and where we don't have processes in place in order to acquire that data. As the aspect of the connected machinery and the predictive maintenance model is moving more and more at the forefront of people's business initiatives, it will be more vital to have a clear set of service metrics that you want to measure with your data. Another part is, of course, that we discussed the outcome-based contracts and the performance-based contracts, all of which also needs to be able to have an essence of measurability into them. Otherwise, they will fail. If you can't measure the KPIs, how will you know what your performance is? All of this, I think we will see an intense discussion about going into 2022. Then, of course, we have the people. One of the main things I see is that the manufacturing industry and the service business is undergoing a transformation. We have been discussing the aging workforce for a long time, and that is, of course, true. But even more so now, when we haven't had the opportunity to have our technicians in the field at the same scope as we were used to, we're now losing that interaction between them and maybe the more junior staff or the newer engineer. So that is kind of lost. So how do we bridge that gap? And the other part is, of course, how does the industry become attractive employers for new talents? Then, of course, we need to have the change management mindset, because all of the technology and the process I just started with requires that people are on board. One person's lack of understanding or lack of incentive to fill in data the right way might actually be harmful in the long run. It might change the number of your inventory to such an extent that a customer stands without the part. So everything has a domino or a knock-on effect, and it's our job as manufacturers to incentivize our employees and our colleagues to fill this out correctly. So what's in it for me? But it's on our responsibility to make sure that they understand the business case. We often discuss how we should do that. And I think one of the things I take from the many discussions I've had is that if you can showcase to someone how these metrics will actually make them become better at their jobs, this could also make sure that they are happier, and therefore that is an incentive in itself. This and many other things we will have to continue discussing in 2022. I would also like to sort of throw out a little bit of a cliffhanger here on the concept of value. This is something we see that the service transformation model is moving towards. We speak about outcome-based, we speak about customer satisfaction, we speak about customer expectations, we throw around the Amazon name. And all of this is stemming from our consumer experience. And we transfer this to our business personalities. That means that we also have to step up the game in terms of how we approach our customer. We see that many are undergoing a large transformation to provide e-commerce, for example. And that is often just to meet the customer in a digital framework and making sure that the customer can find you when they want to find information about your products. So they don't have to go to a distributor, they don't have to go somewhere else. They can find it firsthand at your portal. All of this actually embeds to the overall service delivery and the customer expectations and the concept of value. But as any other challenge, of course, if we speak value, it's an intangible measurement and hard to quantify. And therefore, it is also hard to sell. So if we're going to sell outcome-based, performance-based, and we're going to incorporate the concept of value in the more complex experience economy that the consumer and customer expects, how are we going to make sure that the sales operation aligns with the concept of value? So we have to go hand in hand with service and sales. Well, this is just a few thoughts on my end. But yet again, I look forward to engage in further conversations with you next year. And the team at Copperberg and I are so happy to have your support. And once again, a very Merry Christmas and a really Happy New Year. And see you online soon.